what's up, everybody? You are listening to the What Now podcast, where we discuss ways of effectively addressing life's most difficult moments. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the What Now podcast, where we discuss effective ways of facing life's most defining moments. That's right, life's most defining moments. Why do we classify these moments as defining? Because they alter the trajectory of our lives, but also because we have the right, the authority, and the responsibility to define those moments and not allow ourselves to be defined by those moments. You are too great to be defined by a moment. You are too great to be defined by a couple of moments. You are too great to be defined by multiple moments. You need to take that authority back in your life and begin to define those moments in your life and begin to take the control back that was delegated to you from your creator, or delegated to you from your creator. All right. So my name is Clifton Pettyjohn. I am your trusted voice of transformation. I teach individuals how to revolutionize their lives through purpose identification and execution. And I want to start by saying, well, I guess I'm not starting if I already done my intro, but I recognize that we are beyond the 12 o'clock hour. So I say Happy New Year to each and every one of you. My encouragement and my prayer for you is that everything that you desire in this year, that you are willing to work for in this year, that you're willing to set your heart and your mind towards in this year, will be yours. I pray that your business prosper. I pray that your personal life prosper. I pray that your family prosper. I pray for your ministry to prosper. But more importantly, I pray that you become one with who you are. I pray that you become one with who you are, because when we become one with who we are, we don't allow circumstances and situations and defining moments to shake us. We understand that the definition of who we are is far greater than those moments. But listen, thank you for joining me. Y'all, listen, I had planned on giving you guys one last episode in 2020. That did not work out. So guess what I'm doing? I'm dropping an episode today, the very first day of 2021. And I want to encourage each and every one of you, don't lose the momentum that you have now. Do not lose the momentum that you have now. Well, Cliff, how can I keep or continue to gain that momentum? You have to continue to feed that momentum. Let's think about it. Anything that needs to live needs to eat. Anything that needs to live needs to eat. I want you to think about your thoughts. I want you to think about the thoughts that you have fed. I want you to think about the thoughts you have sat with, and you've allowed those thoughts to grow and to develop. Eventually, those thoughts become actions, and those actions now become a behavior. And those behaviors become patterns, and then those patterns become a lifestyle. That's the reality of it. So if you want to nip a thought in the bud, you have to begin to now counteract that thought, counteract that behavior, counteract that pattern, counteract that life by making sure that you are submitting something to it that disagrees with it, something to it that disagrees with it. So you might say, you didn't say anything about how I keep my momentum. You do something that you ordinarily wouldn't do. If you are not a reader, then you begin to read and educate yourself. And I encourage us all to become readers. Matter of fact, I encourage you to go buy and purchase your copy of From Stagnation to Transformation. It is a 21-day coaching actuation designed to manumit purpose. Now, let's deal with that word actuation. That just simply means to provoke you to action. Let's deal with that word manumit. That word manumit dealt a lot with slavery. It talked about the freeing of slaves. So I want to provoke you to the action that frees you to purpose and frees your purpose to run wild in your life. Some of you don't understand why you're going through, or why it seems that you keep going in different cycles cycles over and over and over again. Sometimes we repeat those cycles over and over again for one or two reasons. I'm going to deal with those one or two reasons. Number one, we deal with those same cycles because we continue to do the same thing over and over again. Now, we know that we are told that if we continue to continue the same behavior or patterns over and over again, and we expect something new or something different, that is a form of insanity. Cliff, are you calling me insane? I'm calling that behavior insane. I'm calling that pattern insane. I'm calling that principle that you've allowed to be established in your life insane. And it's okay if you've been insane. It's okay if you've had insane moments. You can recoup and recover from those moments. However, you need some tools, techniques, and strategies to help you recoup from or recover from those moments. All right. So that was the first thing, the reason why. Sometimes we have repeated circumstances and situations in our lives to measure our growth, Sometimes what happens is we start to look at some of the things that we're going through and we keep saying, oh my God, here it goes again. It's the same thing over and over and over again. We never step back enough from the situation to realize that, yes, it may be the same situation. It may be. It honestly may be. But my question to you is, are you the same person that faced that situation 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 16 years ago, 21 years ago? If we're not careful, we will revert back to that mentality from 6 months all the way back to 16 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, however many years. We'll revert back to that mentality instead of taking a break and doing our breathing exercises, which we did not do. So we're going to take the time to do that. I always ask us to take a deep breath in, hold it, breathe out. One more time, breathe that 2021 air in, hold it, breathe out. All right. Now we're present. And because we're present, we can grab hold of everything that we need to apply to our life to experience success as we know it right now, or to experience success that we've never experienced before. All right. However, as I was saying, before I rudely interrupted myself, sometimes we just have to take a step back and breathe so that we become present. I'm telling you, when we take those breaths, it causes us now to rid ourselves of the distractions of the past and even the distractions of the future, because some of us are so stuck in the past, and then some of us are so stuck in the possibility or the lack of possibility of the future that we are neglecting our now. What now? What are we going to do right now? What we're going to do right now is we're going to take a step back from that situation, realize, okay, this looks familiar to me. However, although it looks familiar to me, I don't look familiar to it. See, we are drawing a conclusion that it looks familiar to us and we look familiar to it, and we have never taken out an opportunity to assess how we may honestly look to it right then and there. So I want you to take a step back and begin to see that, yes, it may look the same. It may sound the same. It may walk the same. It may talk the same. However, you are not the same. You are not the same. You have transformed. You have evolved. I talk a lot about transformation, but I also want to explain on here. I explained it with the Transformation Center. If you have not checked out our faith-based community, I encourage you to visit www.thetransformationcenter.life. And center is spelled CENTRE. You'll thank me later. But I explained that on that platform, but I want to explain it here because you'll see Transformation Network. You always hear me talking about transformation. Why is transformation so important to me? Because the difference between change and transformation is that sometimes when it comes to change, we just modify behavior. But when you experience a transformation, that means that you don't look like look like, act like, or assess things like you used to. There used to be a show when I was younger, and some of you might still watch that show. And I'm not talking about my favorite cartoon of all times, which was He-Man and still is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But I'm talking about Transformers, and I love Transformers from their theme song, And I couldn't sing the whole theme song to you, and I still can't sing the entire theme song to you, but I know the first 6 words. I know the first 6 words of that theme song. And those first 6 words say, Transformers more than meets the eye. See, this has to be your year where you are willing to tap into the dimensions of you that are the more than meets the eye. See, I know some of you struggle with that concept about yourself because you don't feel as if you are more than meets the eye. You don't feel like you're enough. You don't feel like you're, whether it's pretty enough, intelligent enough, and I could talk about intelligence for days, because what I want each and every one of us to understand is that we all were created in an intelligent state. We all were created in an intelligent state. The problem becomes when we never tap into that intelligence. And sometimes we never tap into our personal divine intelligence because we are trying to measure our intelligence based off of somebody else's intelligence, or we're basing it off of what we have programmed ourselves to believe intelligence is. So now we can acknowledge it in them, use it as a measuring stick, and now call ourselves stupid or dumb or average or not enough or whatever it is that we have labeled ourselves that contradicts everything that the Creator said concerning us. Yeah. So there's more than meets the eye. And it's time for you to tap into the more than meets the eye. Some of you are frustrated. You're angry. You always think, man, people always sleeping on me. They always sleeping on me, man. They always coming for me. They don't see this in me and they don't see that in me. Can I be honest with you? Sometimes people will never, for the most part, people will never acknowledge in you what you won't even acknowledge in yourself. And some of us are angry and frustrated because people are sleeping on us, but we don't even realize that we're sharing the same bed with them and we're sleeping on ourselves. We are sleeping on ourselves. We can't expect anybody else to wake up to who we are if we refuse to wake up to who we are. So right now, I want you to shake yourself, and allow yourself to wake up to the greatness that is you. To the greatness that is you, to the beauty that is you, to the handsomeness that is you, to the intelligence that is you, to the creativity that is you, to everything that you embody. You embody it, but you haven't tapped into it yet. You embody it, but you won't allow yourself to be stretched enough to go into it. I talked about this last night, and I guess I'll bring it up a little bit here. I'm not going to go into full details because I want you guys to visit www.thetransformationcenter.life. Center is spelled CENTRE. I want you to join our faith-based community. However, I was talking about how sometimes we can get out of alignment. And I didn't use a car being aligned. I talked about my own personal experience. My own personal experience is sometimes my body shifts. And sometimes the left side of my body is a little bit higher than the right side of my body. And you can see it in the way that I walk. You can see it in the way that I stand. My shoulders will be like this or like that. You know, you can see it when I stand up and put my feet together or put my hands out like this. You will see that one hand is longer than the other. If I lay down and I have to stretch out and put my feet together side by side, you can see it there. So every now and then I have to go for an alignment with my chiropractor. And I have to lay on my stomach or whatever position he needs me in. He starts to crack some things and move some things and push some things and to maneuver some things so that my body begins to get back in alignment. Now, I also talked about if I can't go to my chiropractor, I go to my massage technician. Now, here on this show, you've heard an ad about Pneuma Wellness and Spa. That is Gordon Walker Jr. All right. He is a life coach, health and nutrition coach. I encourage you to reach out to him. You'll hear the ad playing on this show. Yeah, you'll hear the ad. But he is my massage technician. And what I love about him, I always brag on him, and I will continue to brag on him, not just because he's my brother, but because he is great at what he does. He has tapped into his divine intelligence. And because he's tapped into his divine intelligence, he is able to operate in who he is. So as he begins to maneuver and manipulate my body, he starts to talk to me about the points and the pressure points within my body and what those pains represent. Then he starts to stretch me, and from stretching me, he can tell if I've been listening to him or not and been doing my own stretching. And he can tell, the pressure points of my body that need to be adjusted. So he begins to maneuver my body as well and deals with the tissue and the muscle. The chiropractor kind of deals with the skeletal, your skeletal structure. So I make sure I get both of those done. Why? Because it is important that we are centered. It is important that our equilibrium is not thrown off. Anytime our equilibrium is thrown off, we are not able to make the greatest decisions that we could make. Or the greater, let me say this right, because I don't want nobody to say, oh, he's saying I ain't a good decision maker. No, what I'm saying is that sometimes we get out of alignment, we get off tilt, and when we get off tilt, those things start to affect our decision-making ability. So sometimes we have to go in and be stretched in ways that we are uncomfortable being stretched so that it can expand our ability to make decisions. So we begin to make greater decisions, more sound decisions, more decisions that are connected to our future, as opposed to decisions that are just for the right now. We don't look for those instant gratifications, just make me feel good for the right now, that will sacrifice our future. We start to think and strategize beyond the present moment. We that's what we do. We begin to do that when our equilibrium is straight, when we are aligned properly. And I talked about how this year or last year was aligning us. It was stretching us in ways we had never been stretched before. And it was preparing us for something, because some of us felt like 2020 was a punishment to us. Some of us felt like 2020 was God judging us. Some of us felt like 2020 was the result of a behavior that we had. And that, to each his own. What I believe 2020 was a call back to self, because sometimes we have been so selfless and we made selfish a negative word, or selfish a negative behavior, when the reality is that many of us could afford to be a lot more selfish. We could afford to be a lot more selfish as it relates to our purpose, as it relates to our health, as it relates to our wholeness, as it relates to our happiness. We could do ourselves a little more justice by being just a little more selfish, So we're in 2021, and I just want to ask all of you, what are some plans you have? What are some things that you are looking at doing? What are some things that you are excited about? What are some things that you might be nervous about or scared about? What are the things that are on your heart and on your mind? What is weighing heavy on you? And what I want you to do, I want you to talk back to me. So I want you to either email me at admin@thetransformationcenter.life. Center spelled CENTRE. Again, admin, ADMIN, @thetransformationcenter.life. Or you can set up a coaching call. This does not require you to become a coaching client. It is complimentary. What does complimentary mean, guys? It means free. All right. Now it is 30 minutes, but to those who purchase a copy of my book, I don't know if I've talked about it, From Stagnation to Transformation, a 21-day coaching actuation designed to manument purpose. If you purchase a copy of that book, then you get, along with that book, you get 2 complimentary sessions, 2 30-minute complimentary sessions, or 1 60-minute complimentary section. It's all up to you, so I want you to think about that. www.coachclifton.com. All right. So that's where we're at. And I really want to talk to everybody about our mentality and our approach to this year. I don't want you living in fear. I don't want you living in a mentality that things are not going to change. It's not going to get better. It's always going to be like this. And this is in relationship with the pandemic as well. Things may not change, but the most important thing is that you transform and that you stop looking at it as a problem and start to say, okay, God, you put everything that I need inside of me. I know I've locked it up. Show me who it is I need to connect with that will help me navigate to these gifts, talents, and abilities that are locked up inside of me that are needed right now. There are gifts, talents, and abilities. There are strategies that are needed right now. There are ideas that are needed right now. There are creations that are needed right now. There are different technologies that are needed right now, and they're locked up in each and every one of you. I promise you it's there. I promise you it's there. Many times we look past the technology or the strategy or the gift or the talent or the ability that we have that could set this world on fire. We look past it. And the reality is that we don't need to look past it anymore. What we need to begin to do is tap into that thing so that now we can exercise consistently in it. And in doing that, we help to create a greater world, because now we have decided to be who we were created to be. You were designed to set this world on fire. You were designed to set this world on fire. And I want you to stop looking at everybody that you believe does the same thing that you do. They don't do it like you. They don't sound like you. They don't walk like you. They don't talk like you. They don't act like you. They don't execute like you. Yes, they may be whatever it is that you are, but there is a unique ability within you that separates you from the rest. Tap into that baby. Stop running from that baby and be all that you were created and designed to be. I'm telling you, this is your year. And can I tell you something else? 2020 was your year. 2020 was your year. But what happened was, so much stuff started happening negatively, and we allowed all that negative stuff to minister to us and all that negative stuff to keep coming at us, that we didn't see the positive. I want to encourage everybody, because today is also, not the easiest day for me as well as for my family. 2005. January 1st, 2005, my mother transitioned. Man, that was rough. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I know people say, oh, it gets better with time. Time heals all things, and it'll just get better. It'll just get better. That was 2005, guys, 2005. And we are in 2021 right now. And I'm still waiting for the better that everybody said it was going to get. I can laugh about it now, but I'm still waiting for the better that everybody says that it's going to get. I still remember that day as if it was yesterday. I still remember the week leading up to it as if I just experienced that week all over again. But one of the things that I've gained over the years, I will say this, one of the things that I've gained over the years, because I remember when my mother first passed, the first thing that I did was I went into isolation mode. I did not, I don't want to say care enough, but I'm going to say I was so far gone that I was not valuing those that were still here, because I was so focused on what I had lost and who I had lost and what my mother meant to me, and how much I valued our relationship and the time that we spent together, that I wasn't realizing. And it took me years to realize this, y'all. I'm being honest with you. It took me years to realize that I was so connected to the fact that she had transitioned that I disconnected from everyone that was living. I had disconnected from everyone that was living. So those of you that are experiencing or did experience the loss of someone in 2020 or any other year, my prayer and my encouragement to you is that you grieve. You need to grieve. I know some people that we don't grieve. There is a proper there is, I guess I would say, a proper, not technique of grieving, but there's a extended time of grieving that is good for you. Now, if grieving continues on for years and years and years, the same way that it was when you first lost them, then you got to go get some help. You do. And I talked about how, it still hurts, but the reality is my mindset isn't what it was back then. I'm not that same person that I was back then. I allow people in now. I communicate with the living. If I could throw a little joke in there, but I do. I value those that are in my life even more now, because I understand that although I miss those that I have, and I can go back to my grandparents and my best friend who I lost. I think I was 21 years old, lost one of my best friends, and all of those things. And I remember even with that, I wouldn't even allow a lot of friendships in my life because my mindset was I'm going to lose them too. And I had to go to therapy. And my encouragement to you is that you need to go and talk these things out. You don't need to keep posting it on Facebook, because many times when we post stuff like that on Facebook, we are connecting with individuals that need the same help that we need, or need the same help that we need. And they'll encourage us in that thing instead of saying, yo, come on, let's go get some help. It is not a bad thing that you need help. It is a sign of intelligence. It is a sign of maturity. And it is a sign of the greatness that's inside of you, because you are willing to get the help that you need in order to grow into who you've been called and created to be. Yeah. So today, as I said, this is not the easiest day. I remember for years I was angry with God because it wasn't even that God had, in my mind, took my mother. It was the fact that it just happened on a day that we are supposed to celebrate so much, that we are supposed to celebrate the new so much. And it's kind of hard to celebrate. And if you know me, then you also know that I'm not a person that's going to come to you and tell you, listen, this is rough on me, because, as we're celebrating, you're excited about it. I'm not trying to be the one that comes and brings the sad news, nor am I the one that know you might be going through something that's going to try to come and dump that on you. And that's okay to be like that. But you know what I have for those moments? I have my therapist that I can call, and I have friends that I can talk to as well. But I also, like I said, I have my therapist that's going to hold me accountable in some areas to make sure that I'm doing that which I need to do for the wholeness of who I am. But yeah, I think about all the good memories that we had, I even think about the disagreements. I think about the times I felt like she pushed me too hard, and the times I felt like she might should have pushed me a little harder. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. I can't think of too many times like that because she ain't play. Everybody's like, "Oh, your mom's so nice. Your mom's so nice. She's a nice man." Listen, and she was nice, but she also did not play with us. She was raising two boys on her own, so she understood the position she had to take in both of our lives to give us the understanding. Don't try me. But we grew up and we grew up with extended family as well. That's one of the things I loved about my mom is that, and you guys probably have heard me say this before about her and my brother. Her and my brother will take in anybody. Do you hear me? I mean, how many bodies? Anybody. They will take in anybody, and make them feel not like their family, but make them feel family because they became family, and it wasn't as if they were family that were treated different than anybody else. No, baby, you had the full privileges of being family. Our home, we grew up and we didn't have the best of everything. We didn't. She worked hard to make sure that we had the things that we needed. And many times she spent a lot of money on my baseball equipment. I would tell anybody that I never had cheap baseball equipment. I'm laughing about that now. It's just so funny to me, the sacrifices that she made while working a full-time job, part-time job, going back and getting her degree, everything that she did to make sure that we experienced life. She wanted us to experience life. She wanted us to experience life. And that was one of the things that helped set me free enough to allow myself to live again, because I realized she would not want me in this state. She wanted me to live life to the fullest. I often think about it now. I wish she was here to see this. I wish she was here to see this because, let me tell y'all something about me. I say it all the time, I was a punk, I was quiet. I was very reserved. I struggle with social anxiety. I mean, I'm the type of person that would go to the store, need something on aisle 10, but to get to aisle 10, I had to walk in a direction. There was a whole lot of people, so I would circle around and go the long way. And if I went the long way and it was a crowd of people, then I'm just going to go home, or I might drive 15 and 20 more miles to try another store in the hopes that I didn't have to walk into crowds like that. Man, I was scared to speak in front of people. Man, if she could see me now, I know that she would be like, "Wow, look at you, yo! You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing." I always tell my brother the same thing. Like, if mom could see you now, she would be so proud of you, and not just my brother, but everyone that she mentored. Those nieces and nephews, those who became nieces and nephews, those who became godchildren, those who just became sisters and brothers. If she could see all of us now, I know that she would be so proud of each and every one of us. So proud. I miss her a lot. I miss her a lot. I miss her during the successes. I miss her. I don't like using the word failures. I always like to call them lessons learned. I miss her during the lessons learned. I miss her, yo. I really do. But my prayer is with her and with my dad, because I miss my dad as well. I do. And one day I'm going to do a show. I want to get my brother and my sisters together, and we all do a show dedicated to my dad. And then I want to see if my brother come on and we do a show dedicated to, my mom's as well. But, man, yo, I miss her. But at the end of the day, I thank God that she was no longer in pain. I thank God that she went peacefully. She went peacefully. She transitioned peacefully. And I thank God that the life that she lived still affects individuals. So I got on tonight just to share with you guys. I want to encourage you, as I said, if you lost a loved one, if a loved one has transitioned from this side of earth to beyond, my prayer is that you will grieve properly, okay? And that you will get the help that you need through your grieving process, but that you will not lose connection with those who yet live, that you will not lose connection. I'm going to say this, that you will not lose healthy connection with those who yet live. It is important that we live, and it is important that we surround ourselves with individuals that live. That's what you need to do in 2021. Do everything in your power to make sure that you are living life to the fullest. Do you hear me? That you are living life to the fullest. As I said in the beginning, free yourself to be yourself. Do whatever it takes. Sacrifice whatever needs to be sacrificed. Sacrifice whoever needs to be sacrificed. And I'm not one to talk about this. I'm cutting this person off, and I'm cutting this person off, and I'm cutting. The reality is that if we start to become more aware of who we are, we wouldn't have to do so much cutting. But when we're not aware of who we are, we have desperate moments that cause us to create covenants with individuals that covenants were never meant to be created with. But that's a whole nother subject. I don't want to sound preachy and teachy on here, but I want us to understand that what now is that we take advantage of every opportunity that is presented to us for us to be the best version of ourselves. Don't let this be another year that you lied to yourself for the sake of anybody. Free yourself this year. We need you. We're waiting for you to be all that you can be. I'm not talking about joining the army, because I'm not doing it. And I shout out our veterans. I shout out those that are in all of the branches of our forces. I appreciate you, because I'm not built for it. All right. I'm not. I tell people all the time, I am built for a classroom or an office. All right. And there's no shame in that to me. All right. So, or what is it? A computer, not a computer, a camera. I'm built for a camera and a microphone. All right. Anyway, thank you all for joining me on tonight, whenever you're listening. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the podcast. If you listen to it in its entirety, I want you to text the word, text 2021. Text 2021 to 302-648-5544, 302-648-5544. That lets me know that you heard the podcast or the episode in its entirety. And it also gives you an opportunity to enter for our drawing at the end of the month. Listen, we're about to take this podcast to new places and new spaces, and I want to make sure that you are a part of it. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite platform. However you listen to the podcast, I just need you to subscribe. I want you to take time to share the podcast with 2 individuals. Share the podcast with 2 individuals, all right? And the last thing I ask you to do is to write a review, either on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts. Leave us some stars, yo. Hit them 5 stars for us. But I want you to leave an honest review. Leave an honest review. If you can't do it there, hit me up on one of my social media platforms just by typing in Clifton Pettyjohn. Tell me you want to submit a review, and I will tell you exactly how you can submit your review, all right? And if you have an idea for a podcast or a radio show, I encourage you to take advantage of that complimentary coaching session that I have, because we want to hear your voice. There is power in your voice. There is authority in your voice. There is freedom in your voice. Stop holding our freedom back by holding your voice back. Hit me up. Let's collab. All right. Listen, as I always say, create a great day, walk with purpose, and by all means, execute your vision. Peace.